Deze stoel kunnen we wel weghalen. Yes, welcome back everybody. The afternoon will be again about medicinal plants, in particular cannabis. And for this session, we're gonna dive into research in cultivation of cannabis, but also other medicinal crops. So I'm happy to have three well-known researchers with us. The first one is Dominique van Gruisen, the managing director from Innexo. And he will tell us more about genetics in research and how to set up research in the right way. So, Dominique, please come with us and tell us more about what you guys are doing at Innexo.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I see the clock has started ticking, so let's go. We are Innexo. I'm going to explain to you a little bit who we are, what we do, and what our results are of our first real year of research. So last year, we started a platform, and today we celebrate the 1-year anniversary, and I want to share with you some of the results. But first, I want you to be welcome at Innexo. So our focus and expertise is on everything that has to do with cultivation, propagation, and post-harvest handling of medicinal cannabis. The focus points of all of our research attempts are standardization, energy efficiency, and we want to create also new research varieties. This is important because the research is only as good as the varieties that you use to do research. We're licensed by the Dutch government. We do research in controlled greenhouses and in indoor climate rooms. And we have a vertically integrated approach, meaning we have everything under full control from the mother plants, the clones that we use for research, the varieties that we use. But some things we do outsource to trusted partners like labs, like Bright Labs, for example. So we implemented research as a service. That means that you can come and explore your technologies or your products. We do validations, and we do demonstrations as well. So there's a couple of things that we do in terms of the categories of research. So we have private research, which is essentially for your eyes only. If you have a development that nobody needs to see yet, or you're working on stuff behind closed doors, it's like James Bond, it's for your eyes only. Then we have a platform, which today celebrates its 1-year anniversary. I'm going to show you what we are doing there in just a bit. But the purpose is to help smaller companies make big differences in this industry, because difference in the industry is what we need to drive innovations. The platform is mostly focused on demonstration. And we started just last year with the first operational excellence training that we do with cultivators and industry-leading partners. If you want to learn more about what the training means, it's a practical training, so you learn how to make your cuttings and do inspections on cannabis plants and harvest and so on. Please visit cultivators just around the corner. So the acceleration platform for innovation, or in other words, the API. We test a bunch of stuff there, right? The main focus of this platform is to give you market visibility, to showcase and to demo your product or technology, and to find new insights that can help you improve your product or technology. We made it so that it has a very low barrier of entry in terms of cost, so all the smaller companies can also participate in cannabis research. If we can get a lot of small companies participating in cannabis research, we can get through innovations a lot faster. But it needs to be affordable. So that's why we did erect the platform. So currently we are testing biostimulants, we're testing prototypes of gutter systems for NFT, for example. We grow cannabis on cocoa, on soil, on rock wool, on blocks, slabs, even so NFT on water. We test out illumination lighting strategies. We're testing microbe solutions, for example, with Atami and substrates. Atami is very involved in the research. If you want to know more about them, go visit their booth. They're like 20 meters from here. And also, we're testing out tropical varieties. Why is that? Because these are varieties that are not being produced commercially. And the reason why that is because they flower for a long time, cost a lot of energy, a lot of labor, etc. So in this platform, we're looking for new ways to deal with the labor inputs in cannabis and with energy inputs in cannabis. So I want to go over with you a few takeaways from 1 year of doing this platform research. We've executed 32 trials, 8 of which were internal trials to really figure out some specifics, which I will get into. And we have accelerated 10 companies in their product development or with their market visibility. Right? Things that I can share from the research that we did. One thing is biostimulants. They can have a very significant impact on cannabis. Right? Not only in plant health, but also in secondary metabolites and in yield. We have repeatedly observed these effects in various different trials, be it on rock wool or on cocoa or on soil. Right? So it's observational research, observational trials, but nonetheless, it gives us trends to see that biostimulants, when applied correctly, can have a real impact in cannabis. What happens when you have suboptimal dosing, for example, with biostimulants, you can see there's a trade-off between yield and secondary metabolites. Either yield goes up and secondary metabolites go down, or vice versa. So having a correct dosing and a correct application is absolutely key when working with biostimulants in cannabis. There are also cultivar dependencies, so that means not every cultivar will react in the same way. So therefore it's important to test a lot of different cultivars repeatedly with different dosage, different applications, so on. Nutrients, we tested a lot of nutrients. The recipes also, you need to optimize your recipe per cultivar. And also the combination of your nutrients and the substrate that we use is very important. Right? And then cultivation strategy. I still have 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. So it's a good thing to delve into the cultivation strategy. 2 things that I want to highlight from all these trials. One thing, why do we have a vegetative phase for the cannabis crop? To grow bigger plants to have more yields. What if I can tell you that you don't need this? You can skip it. We'll get into that. And light distribution. Light distribution might make it feasible to grow tropical varieties in a commercial viable way. So the highlight number 1, no veg. It reduces energy usage. So what I mean by no veg is no vegetative period for the cannabis, meaning you have a rooted clone, you put it in flower immediately. No vegetative period. You can skip all these 18 hours of light. You can skip 2 weeks of your cycle time, right? But, you know, can you get smaller plants? Do you get smaller plants or less yield? We'll see. But at least you get a 25% reduction on light energy up front. That's energy savings, but just eliminating 2 weeks of 18 hours a day of light. Just skip that. You save inputs. 20% reduction on HVAC costs. Has to do with the time that you save. Save these costs. Reducing labor. So, very quick question. So, if you veg the cannabis plants, you want to have them a bigger architecture, grow big plants. What's the next thing that you do? You take off everything that the plant has put energy into growing. So it doesn't make any sense, right? So we can use, by doing no veg, we can save 40% on labor inputs. No topping, no pruning, no defoliation, nothing. Just eye on the crop health, scouting, that's all you need to do. Saves you a lot of labor. And it frees up capacity. If you have separate rooms for vegging the plants in, you can turn those rooms into flowering rooms. In terms of yield, the graph shows different varieties and their yield on a yearly basis. So grams per square meter per year. Why is this important and not look at the grams per square meter in just one cycle? Because not every variety has a similar cultivation cycle. Some are faster, some are slower, and so on. So we look at the average yield per variety. In brackets, next to the name of the variety is the trials that are part of this average calculation. We see 2 varieties that were grown without CO2 supplementation in a greenhouse under a DLI of 31 to 33 moles a day. That equates to roughly 800 micromoles on canopy level. The second 2 varieties are with supplemented CO2. So without any vegetative period, we still can get over 3 kilograms per year per square meter comfortably. If we apply CO2 and we grow a little bit better with different varieties, we can get to over 6 kilograms per square meter per year. Do the math on that. With less energy, right? So, but this method is still a little bit under construction. Most important stuff on this is the mother plants and propagation must be absolutely on point. Plant density can be used as an optimization factor, and perhaps we're going to need new irrigation strategies and even new nutrient recipes, because we eliminate one phase of the cannabis production cycle. Still have 30 seconds to show you the second highlight. Light distribution in the greenhouse, right? Intercanopy lighting. We did 3 trials, and we tried to lower the amount of top light. So trial 1, we took away 33% of the top light, put it inside the canopy. See the Fluence webinar for those results. It's online, it's on YouTube. The second trial, we went 50-50. We saved 35% energy. We got 15% more yield. Wow, that's a win-win. No veg. Still no veg. Trial 3, we eliminate the top light totally. And now my time's up. OK, so we eliminate the top light totally. And we just used intercanopy lighting or side lighting to grow the cannabis. Still commercially relevant yields, but every single flower, even the very bottom of the plant, was A grade, B grades at the highest. No C grades, no waste at all. And right now, the trial that we've got going on is to figure out if we can use this system in combination with the no-veg method to bring back the tropical long-flowering cultivars, to give patients access to a broader range of cannabis genetics and secondary metabolites in these genetics. That's a trial that we've got going on right now. No top light, only interlight, tropical varieties, and maybe we can bring them back. That's it. If we can do this in just 1 year, imagine what we can do with much more support of all the smaller companies that want to do something in cannabis, and with your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dominique. Pretty sure some of the things you have done, there will be some questions. So please stay with us for the Q&A session after the last speaker. First, we're moving to the next speaker. That will be Kjell Sneeuw, one of my colleagues. He's the project manager for cultivation for compounds. And he will tell you more about the research this group of companies has done the last years. De groene, grote.
All right. So, hello everyone. First of all, thank you, Dominique. I think your research really exemplifies what this stage is all about. Real breakthroughs, real innovations. I will take the stage after you to tell you about the Cultivation for Compounds consortium that we have. What is Cultivation for Compounds? We are a consortium, so we are a project group with a lot of big names in the industry. And we looked at the industry and our location in the Netherlands, and we thought, what do we have and what can we do? So first of all, the Dutch horticulture industry is known all around the world. So we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of big industry in the Netherlands regarding horticulture. We also have, despite cannabis consumption being here, medical and recreational for a long time, still a lot of stigma around it. So with our partners, we bundle together our strengths and we want to educate and do applied research on cannabis cultivation. The project will run for 4 years. We're about halfway through, and it's completely dedicated to the cultivation and research on medicinal cannabis. So some photos just to show you in reality what that looks like. Who are the partners? Like I said, big names in the industry. You will recognize some of them. Some are well known in the cannabis industry specifically, some are less so. But recently, we had, for example, Twister join us for a trimming machine, Buffalo extraction systems. And if you know these companies, a lot of them are also present here at GreenTech, and you will see that we have a part of the entire cultivation chain, from the starting point, meaning the genetics, all the way to the extraction. So we're really proud to have all these companies work with us. So what do we do? What does the research actually look like? Where do we do our research? We do our research at Vertify in Naaldwijk in the Westland area, and we are allowed to grow, we are licensed to grow THC-containing plants in 2 greenhouse compartments of roughly 115 square meter each. And we are completely equipped to grow under a high-tech greenhouse environment. We have LEDs from Fluence. We grow in a gutter system. We have an air handling unit. Of course, screen for blackout, high-pressure fogging. So everything that you would need to grow cannabis in the Netherlands, but also, of course, in other parts of the world. So a cycle step by step. Of course, first we start with propagation. We either grow from seed. We have developed together with Fluence a really nice germination protocol, as you can see on the photo. Really good, equal germination, high germination percentage. Or we start from tissue culture, from perfect plants. Then we go to the vegetative phase, so a phase where there is no flowering. To the flowering phase, these photos are from the variety Original Blitz by Perfect Plants. It's a high-yielding variety, high THC content. And then at the end, of course, we move on to the harvest. I want to show you some of the improvements we've made to our research setup compared to last year. We used to grow on tabletops, so solid tables, plastic, but movable. But we saw that we were unable to get an even airflow through the canopy, leading to an uneven distribution of moisture within the greenhouse, sadly leading to infections of botrytis. We consulted together with Vertify within our team. We have a climate specialist on our team, and we decided to change the cultivation system to a gutter system. Now we have we have 2 air tubes underneath each of the rows, and with that, because the gutters have space in between them, now air is able to pass through the crop on every side, taking away all this moisture and all this heat, and we have been able to greatly reduce the impact of botrytis. Also, our canopy structure has improved greatly because of the elimination of different microclimates within the compartments. So a really nice even canopy. You see some bumps. That's because we grow on both stone wool and cocoa, but the cocoa is in a larger pot, so the plant is automatically also higher. So what does that look like really realized in practice? So for example, I took some graphs from the humidity situation in our compartments from a fully mature crop. The blue line is the crop grown under 600 micromoles, the orange line is under 1000 micromoles, and you see that on the table system, we were really sensitive to climate events from the outside. We are still growing in a greenhouse, so even though we have, of course, an air handling unit, the climate outside still affects us greatly. However, once we switched to the gutter system, like I said, we were able to move much more moisture away from the crop. And you can see that we are growing much closer to our set points. The same goes from temperature. I think that picture is even clearer. Instead of the sharp drops and rises in temperature on the crop and also in the greenhouse air, we see a much more smoother transition and again, much closer to our set points. So this has led to improved climate control for us, improved airflow within the canopy, and that we saw that actually makes the plants a lot stronger. The plants grew much more vegetatively. And at first we didn't expect to have such a big increase, but we also had to change our strategy, our pruning strategy, our climate strategy, to actually use that new strength of the crop to get more usable product. But that's also part of research. So in the future, my goal is to completely eliminate botrytis, of course, from our greenhouse compartments, and I think we will be able to do that. I will now move on to some of the research insights that we have developed in the last year. So I already gave it away a little bit, but we have developed a germination protocol. And a common problem that we see with when we are germinating seedlings is that there's not enough light for the seedlings at the very beginning. And this leads to this very tall and stretched seedlings that might fall over, so you get a very undesired phenotype already from the very beginning. So like I said, we work together with Fluence and together with F1 CTech, and we've developed a very specific germination protocol. If you want to know more, please visit Fluence at their booth and ask about the Cultivation for Compounds consortium, and they will tell you all about it. Then, together with Gruisen, we are developing different irrigation strategies. We are testing them. This is just an example with some real graphs from the research. So we're either growing at a somewhat standard recipe, but also in a high water content strategy and in a low water content strategy. And we wanted to know, how does these irrigation strategies influence the yield and the development of the crop? Not only the flower yield, but also plant size, because there is actually an effect between water availability in the substrate and how the plant performs above ground. And then, of course, we also have DCM. They are a nutrient company specializing in organic nutrients. And for them, I would like to highlight two different treatments. So the red bar, they are growing on cocoa, but only with mineral fertilizers. And on the green bar, we see photos of their totally organic recipe and BioLife, added BioLife. And, well, the difference is just clear on the pictures, right? Much stronger root development for the organic treatments. Again, DCM is also present at the GreenTech, so if you want to know more about their specific products and their biostimulants, please visit them and ask more. That's my quick presentation for today. I hope you enjoyed.
Yes, thank you very much, Kjell. There is also time for questions for Kjell after the third presentation. So, third presentation will be given by Filip van Noort from Wageningen University. Actually, he was one of the first ones starting with cannabis in the Netherlands with research in 2016, 2017. But he is also doing a lot of other crops, bringing new crops, growing them in controlled conditions. And Filip, tell us more about how you do that, how you bring new crops to our industry.
I will try. Thank you. Hello. I see some friends. So I will probably have only one sentence on cannabis. I hope you forgive me. I'm going to talk about new plants I'm trying to grow in the Netherlands. So I call myself a crop specialist. Well, after 30 years, maybe it's okay to do so. I have grown about 100 crops professionally, so try to help growers perform better on what they do. But new crops. For me, new crops are crops that are not growing in greenhouses professionally in the Netherlands. So can be a lot of different plants. But why do you want to do that? Well, of course, to earn money. But it's also sometimes it's a challenge to think about a new plant to grow in a greenhouse, to do it better than outside. Sometimes you have questions about quality. A lot of plants of fruits we import are not what you want. We travel a lot, so you know how passion fruit should taste. Sometimes when you buy something in the store, you think, okay, that could be better. And then growers come and ask questions. Also, we get more and more questions about transporting. And of course, you could think about high-tech solutions to be more sustainable. So what's my approach? Of course, there is a lot known about the plants you want to grow. So you can search for literature, you try to figure out what are the problems, is there a market? It's very important to have a market. And I think I'm good in translating that outside information to a greenhouse protocol. And well, I start to learn also to make those protocols in an indoor farm. And for me, an indoor farm is a farm without sunlight, so only with LED lights mostly. Then, because I'm a researcher, I have no money, so I have to try to find money. Try to get people interested. So part of my job is to talk a lot, and I do that more and more, and better, I hope. So what you need to find is a researcher, a grower, or a group of growers, a market, maybe someone who can sell the stuff you grow. And then you create a basic protocol, and you hope that you get the money to try that in a greenhouse. That's what I do. And what I see more and more is that I do my trials in a relatively small compartment. And what I see more and more is that growers or the research or both should create also compartments of maybe 500 or 1,000 square meters, because you need to scale up before you go big. You cannot, or what I see more and more, you cannot do a trial of 100 square meters and go to 2 hectares. You have to learn. You will be in trouble if you do that. So some of the crops I have grown, like passion fruit and vanilla, you start small and build up. So some of the crops I have grown, well, I have grown medicinal cannabis. And what's of course important is cannabinoids. Types, levels, varieties are important, but well, you have already had 2 very good sessions about that. I grow cosmeceuticals. I don't know where the term is coming from, but I grow plants not because they are very lovely, but because of the stuff that's in. Patchouli is a plant mostly grown in Indonesia. You get a perfume out of the plants, and they combine it with other smells to make a good perfume. The plant is grown outside. Nobody knows about varieties. Nobody knows if you could do better. There's a will to win there. And so there are a lot of plants like that. There is one plant we should really grow in the greenhouses, because it's so much better than the dried stuff that we all eat, and that's black pepper. There really should somebody say, we're going to do it. It's very good. Vanilla, okay. We have a company starting vanilla. Its quality is good, so it's doable. There are a lot of crops like this. Of course, growing in a greenhouse is more expensive than growing outside, but there is a lot to improve. And what I see and hear more and more is we will get in trouble with a lot of plants growing outside. The levels of ingredients we need are not there anymore. So be careful and be aware of what you are doing. Also more and more fresh food. I've grown ginger, turmeric, and this moment a group of growers has started to grow passion fruits in the Netherlands. There's a big warning there. If you have ever eaten that passion fruit, you won't buy it in the store anymore. Okay? So, of course, every crop has its challenges. Protected growing is always more expensive, so you have to do better than outside. I normally say I should be at least 5 times better, hopefully more. A problem is that if you get in plant material to start your trials with, you don't always know how good or bad it is. There are no characteristics, and also because you do it inside, you have more control. But you don't know what's possible because you have a certain plant, but maybe the plant is not what you want. I've grown avocado. There's a very nice rootstock underneath, but it's not the one I need in a greenhouse. The rootstock that's there is to create a lot of growth outside. I don't need a lot of growth. What I need is a lot of flowers. So sometimes you have to create in time your own plants. So you can also select for different markets. For instance, you can grow ginger for a fresh market, but there's also a lot of questions from a lot of companies for ginger oil. So choose what you want, or maybe do it both. Also, the crops themselves, of course, have challenges, but in my opinion, you only find them when you start to grow them. Of course, we know that vanilla uses a lot of labor because you have to hand pollinate them. But there are also other things like curing. The curing is very well. If you do the curing well, you get a good product, but you can also make a mess of it. Black pepper, you have to create a new market. Ginger turmeric, it's nice to grow in a greenhouse, but it should be cheap as possible. So find a route to market. Try to get somebody in the group that sells your stuff. Make a good product. Find enough money and time for develop not only the growth protocol, but also the market. Manage expectations. It's easy to blow and say that everything will be fine and everything will be this. Be slow. Everybody needs to learn. And enough product, of course. At the moment, I get a lot of questions about world food, as I call it, long beans, amsoy, kangkong, and I see I'm over time as well. So I'm almost there. Ingredients, let me make it short. There's a will to win there because we don't know what's possible, but because nobody has done a lot of work on varieties on a lot of different plants. So my conclusion, developing new crops is very nice to do, but it takes time, effort and money, but the time is ripe for this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Filip, for your insights in all different type of new crops. I would like to ask Dominique and Kjell to come back to stage for some questions and answers. Looking to the audience, are there already some questions from the previous speakers? I see there in the back a question.
I have a question for Dominique. You said that you have zero veg, and I'm curious, when you switch to flowering, normally the plant in his head thinks of making flowers. So do you use some specific conditions to still stimulate the the vegetative growth of upper part and as well the roots, because those roots, they have to support the whole cycle until the end.
Yes. Is it on? Yeah, okay. Thanks, Ben, for the question. With this no-veg system, it is very important to think about how does the plant feel? What does the plant think? How does it react? So in nature, what happens, cannabis plants, they take their time, because it's a yearly crop, they take their time, they develop their root system, they develop their shoots, and so on. When you transplant a rooted clone directly into a generative phase, so a 12-12 cycle, what happens is the plant thinks, oh my God, I need to reproduce. And I'm too small. I cannot reproduce like this because I want to make a lot of seed, a lot of offspring. So what it does, it turns all its energy towards building the root system first. And that's absolutely crucial, is not to limit the growth of the roots during the first 3 weeks. So don't wait until the roots are super visible on the outside of the plug when you transplant it. Then you're too late, right? So as soon as you see these first tips appear in the small plug, then transplant. We don't ramp up, so we go from 100 micromoles ppfd to 600 in the greenhouse in like that, just like that. And we try to steer it generatively with the crop steering, so we water the cubes, and then we don't water for 7 days. We let the cube, the blocks dry out, so the plant gets a signal, roots, roots, roots. And then after the second week, then it's more shoots, shoots, shoots. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Dominique. Filip, you have done a lot of research on cannabis the last almost 10 years. If you look to the title of this session, Breakthroughs, what was one of the breakthroughs you had in this time?
That's a nice one. Well, I started working on this crop because I thought I see a lot of things about this plant that cannot be true. So, well, what Dominique said as well, you grow a plant, and after a few weeks you get rid of all the leaves. And all the playing around with nutrients, I have one schedule for everything. So only different ECs. Well, for me, that was quite an experience, and also do a lot on light levels, how you go from one to another. But I see it's improving fast. So, but it was fun to be part of this journey. Yeah.
All right. More questions from the audience here in front.
Hey guys, thank you all for your presentations. I have a couple of questions. The first one to you, Dominique, and to all the auditory, all to you. Do the stimulants influence footprint from the point of genetics?
What do you mean by footprint?
I mean, from my point, the footprint is the productive possibility and the genetics, which is in the
size of the
seed,
plant.
in the everything. It's kind of phenotype and genotype all together, if I understand it right. Yeah. That is a footprint for me. So do these stimulants influence the footprint, the variety what I'm looking for?
Well, so it doesn't change per se the different terpene combination, but it can influence the amount of terpenes in it and the amount of cannabinoids. And we have seen trials where we have 20% plus cannabinoids from a simple biostimulant application. The trick is because the cannabis plant, it has this carbon metabolism, this nitrogen metabolism. If you stimulate one thing, it will create more biomass. If you stimulate the other thing, it creates more secondary metabolites. And there's a balance there. So yes, it can, but dosing and application form is crucial.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe you have to add something.
I was going to say, because I showed pictures of really strong root development in the fully organic treatments with added soil life, and the trick is to not only get that root development to make sure that the plant below ground is really strong, but how do I transfer that strength to the above ground part? So for me, the effect of biostimulants and soil life is undeniable. I've seen it with my own eyes, but to transfer that strength to make it to turn it into a marketable product for the grower, that is for me actually what a challenge is.
Thank you. Have you something to add, Filip?
I have nothing to add there.
Okay, okay. From here, the second question, what is the difference between biostimulants and the hormones? Because it's actually just three of them, cytokinin, gibberellin, and three of them. So what is the difference between the biostimulants and these hormones just dissolved in water and just kind of treatment which I have three times a period of vegetation? That's my two questions.
So first of all, we have to separate the terminology. It doesn't necessarily mean that a hormone is a biostimulant. I guess that you could see it as a biostimulant, but under some legislations, you're not allowed to use hormones in your medicinal products, let alone PGRs, any discussion around that. So when you add, let's say, a certain fungal strain to your soil, to your cocoa, maybe the effect is hormonal, but it doesn't have to be hormonal. So, or maybe when the effect is not hormonal, when, let's say, the mechanism is not hormonal, the effect can look like it's hormonal, but it doesn't have to be. So for me, they're completely separate.
And just to have add to what Kjell said, when I say biostimulants, maybe I didn't phrase it right. It's not plant growth regulators. It's silicium-based biostimulants.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it can stimulate first the growth of the leaves, and that will have an effect on your.
Yeah.
So and then the hormone is a very direct effect. Biostimulants is mostly, and there's a step in between or more steps in between.
I have a question for you, Filip, because you did a lot of other different crops, also medicinal crops. Do you have some insights in those crops you think you could also apply to cannabis? What are things you would like to try, which you have learned in recent years on different crops, which you can think, that can be interesting for cannabis as well?
It's at this part, it's more the other way around, that I use my cannabis. Well, I did some trials there, so I use my cannabis experience in other medicinal plants. What I'm personally still intrigued by is in what way UV is interacting with the secondary metabolites. I see some work that shows that it's working. I see also in other crops it's not working at all. But for me, so I'm working on, for instance, American ginseng now. Yeah, it could be interesting. I have to fix a lot of other things before I go in the secondary metabolites. So, yeah. No, it's more that cannabis and how you treat that helps me there, because there are so many different things you have to learn before you make a good product.
Yeah.
And the only thing with cannabis is it's very fast. So you can do a lot in a short time. I also grow a plant that will take 2 years to flower. So I have to sit on my hands and wait.
So actually in cannabis you can go faster with your research.
Yeah, much faster. Yeah.
Are there more questions over here? Then I have a question for you, Dominique, because it's quite radical what you're trying to do with no veg and all those kind of things, interlighting. What are other things you all have in mind you are going to test in the near future?
First of all, I thought doing no veg was very simple. Just eliminate something. Just don't do something, right? I think it's in a combination of things, right? First of all, we want to bring back a cultivation strategy that allows for the production of a broader range of varieties without damaging the margins with producer companies. That way, there can be more competition, patients can benefit, so on. Other things that we are looking towards, and I see Nadine from Specs AI sitting here, is objective quality control measurements, right? With smart cameras, detecting CBD and THC levels and maybe other terpenes in the living plant, so that we can really fine-tune the point of harvest. Another thing that we are looking into is how can we even standardize the cannabis plant further by, for example, incorporating moving fields? So instead of pushing really hard to get a homogeneous climate, why don't we have the plants travel towards on every position in the growing room, and then having like pit stop stations or camera arrays set up, that kind of stuff. Really, where high tech meets,
Maybe you should visit NPAC.
Yeah, I know, but I can't get cannabis there.
All right, thank you for your input, Dominique. With that, we're already coming to the end of this session, so I want to really thank you, Dominique, Kjell, Filip, for your insights in cannabis research.
Thank you
very much. We will be back in 2 minutes. We'll be discussing the European market in cannabis. So we will have, again, 3 speakers on board, which we will come back to soon. We first have to mic them quickly.